Hi, and welcome to Section 3, React.js and JSX. In this section, we're going to look at the concepts behind React and JSX, discuss React's virtual DOM, how data flows in React through props, and finally, we're going to look at the React router. We are going to explore enough of React in this section to build a universal JavaScript application. For now, we'll be touching on the basics. Now we move on to the first video of the section that introduces pure React. In this video, we're going to take a look at a simple Hello World example and discuss React's virtual DOM. As we mentioned in the first section, we'll be using React.js as our view layer. And this is exactly what React really is, a simple JavaScript library for building a view layer in an application. React.js has a narrow scope, and its main concerns are around updating the DOM and responding to UI events. As we saw in Section 1, modern web applications fetch data and transform parts of the UI using the browser APIs. These transformations are done in JavaScript code using the browser APIs to access and change the elements of the HTML document object model, or DOM for short. That code might look something like this, where we'd create a DOM element in line 2 and 3, append its children in line 4, and then finally append it to the document in line 5, which renders it to the browser. As interfaces grow more complex, it gets more and more complicated to examine the current state of our application and make the necessary changes on the DOM to update it manually. This is where React really shines. With React, each component is first rendered to a virtual in-memory DOM. Then React takes the virtual DOM, quickly compares the current state of the UI with a desired state, and computes the minimal set of real DOM mutations and updates the real DOM with any changes. In general, manipulating the in-memory representation of the DOM is more efficient than manipulating the real DOM. But more importantly, not worrying about when and how to update the DOM allows us to simplify our application by making it more declarative. More on that in the next video. The virtual DOM also allows React.js to work in a non-browser environment like node.js. Instead of updating the real DOM, React.js can generate a string from the virtual DOM. This allows us to use the same React components on the client and the server. But more on that in Section 5. For now, let's look at the React app we created in the last section, which returned a hello world text in an h1 tag. This JSX syntax will be covered more in the next video, but you can think of JSX as syntactical sugar and a shorthand for writing this. The div syntax is transformed at build time to React create element on line 5. This creates and returns a new React element of the h1 type. Notice how similar this React API looks like the document create element API we saw earlier. What is different here is that the render method returns a React element instead, which is a description of what to render. If we were to print out the results of this render method, we'd see the object returned, which is used in the virtual DOM to update the browser. The object has a type of h1 and a child element of hello world text.